today. My name is Tom Shue, and today we're going to talk about reflectors. Reflectors are one of those tools that everybody needs to have in their photography kit. And you can buy reflectors from just about everywhere. They're saturated from eBay. They're at every photo store you ever walk in. So which ones do you buy? And why would you want to buy them? Well, first of all, if you're just starting out and you just want to buy any old reflector, go ahead. If you've been in the game for a while and you want to get a hold of a good reflector, you might want to look at some of the offerings from Westcott. Westcott has an entry-level set of reflectors that are called their Photo Basics, and you'll notice that they're round. Well, if you look at any of the pro reflectors, especially like when you start working with scrim panels are like diffusion panels that they offer reflectors in. They're all rectangle. The reason why rectangular is such a good shape is that it fits against walls, you can use them up close, and you don't have a bunch of fall off transition because you have a round edge. You have a long edge to work with, and there's not a lot of fall off, so you get consistent exposure from a reflector or consistent coverage. So I'll start off with the first reflector that I take with me just about everywhere I go, just in case I need a little bit of bounce. And this is this one. It's a 2-in-1. This is a 30-inch reflector, and I use their Illuminator series. This is the one that's the step above the Photo Basics. This is their top of the line offerings, the Illuminator. Anyways, so this one is called Reflective White. The reason why I like to use reflective white is because it's a really soft light, and you can't really tell that you've got another light source applied to your subject, but it just has a nice wrapping effect of light, and I'll show you how this one works. First of all, it's really small, and it comes in this great case. It has a nice handle, and these zippers are just really nice. I don't know if they're YKK, but they're just nice. I've never had a problem with their storage cases. They also have a lifetime warranty, so if you ever break them, they'll give you another one. I'm not talking about a hole, I'm talking about the metal frame. So here's the, see how it's rectangular in shape? This is excellent if you need to get right up on somebody and change, the amount of light hitting them. You're not having this weird fall off because of the disc. So anyways, if you see how this white reflector, I'll take it off. And then when I add it to my face, you'll see that it's just a nice soft wrapping light. Okay, and I just love the way this white reflector fills in the shadows. Okay, it's a reflective white. I don't know, it's a new one from them. I don't use gold very often. The gold is really too warm for my taste. I don't use it for portraiture. The only time that I might use a gold reflector is if I'm shooting during the golden hour and it's at sunset and I'm trying to kind of fill in some light of the shadows and match that sun. But it's going to take whatever sun you give it, and it's going to make it this orange Dorito color. You see that? I just don't like anything about any gold reflector from anyone. This is a good one. It sure transmits a lot of light back into your subject. I'm just not a big fan of the gold. I don't like it, so I don't use it. I bought it for this white reflective. Okay, so we'll move into the next one. A couple companies make one. They're called Sun, but Westcott is the best one that I found. And I found that they have two different variations of their sunlight. A sunlight is not a silver reflector. It's not a gold reflector. They've done like offsetting weaves between silver and gold, and they came out with what they call sunlight. And this one is a 42-inch, just one reflector. It's not a kit, and it's silver. So if you have to do specular, say if I really need to put a lot of light transmission in, the silver probably is the most reflective of all of the surfaces. So if I want to have specular highlights, or I need to put a lot of fill in, then I use a silver. Okay, but the main reason I bought it is this side is the sunlight. And again, there's two different versions from Westcott. The 6-in-1 reflector, I'm not sure if the 4-in-1's the same, but the 6-in-1 is more copper. It's a little bit more subtle warm that I like. This one's more gold, but I still like it. You can see that it's not that Dorito orange, but it does give you a warming effect for your light on the reflector. So the 42-inch sunlight, you've got to have the sunlight reflector in your kit if you're doing serious portrait work, okay? Because gold's too much and silver's just too bright. Now, if you just want to just go out and buy one kit and be done with it, the 42-inch 6-in-1 is really the way to go. And the reason why I say that is because it has black, silver, sunlight, and it also has 2 diffusion panels. Again, it comes with that nice carrying case. These are a little heavier duty than most reflectors I've worked with. They fold up just like, you know, the sun visors in your car. You know, you just twist them like a figure 8 and they close up. So if you look at this one, we have our silver, just like we did before, and we have our gold, which I'm just not a big fan of the gold, but you can see there's the gold. All right. But if you look inside and flip it around, this is one of the 2 surfaces I use the most, which is that sunlight and the black, as well as the diffusion panels. Before I flip it around, we'll just go ahead and show the diffusion panels. If you work with speed lights or studio lights, you can use a diffusion panel as a light modifier. It's really an incredible softbox because you've got a 42-inch softbox, or you got an 8-inch softbox, or a 4-inch softbox, or a 5-inch softbox. Because you can make a hot spot in this by moving the light closer or pulling it away. So this is a really versatile light modifier. Okay, so you'll see that there's one with a white outline, a white handle, and one with a black handle. The white handle is 1 stops the diffusion, and the black one is 2 stops the diffusion. You see my arm is kind of silhouetted, and you can probably see my arm better in this one. Okay, this is the 1 stop. So look what happens when I diffuse the light with a 1 stop. All these hard shadows that are on my face, they're going to go away. Here's 1 stop. So if you're in the early morning sunlight, or it's not directly high in the sky, you might want to try the 1 stop. But all you have to do is stick your subject under the shade of this thing. Use a little bit of fill flash, like a speed light, and there you go. You've got nice working light. You know, you can move your subject in short light or broad light, however you want to do it, and you have a nice light source. Now, if your sun gets too harsh to work with, you throw in the 2-stop diffusion, and here you go. It really evens out the shadows. Okay, so it's portable shade, and it's a great light source. I love popping a strobe through this because it creates a hot spot. What it's called is diffuse fall off. Okay, the diffuse value of your face won't stay constant. So say if I meter for my cheek right here, or if I have the light source close up on the panel, I'll get this, my diffuse value over here will be properly exposed, and then we'll roll off and get the contrast on my face, so I get more modeling, and I can control that by pulling this back and forth. So a hot spot is like a cloudy day with the sun peeking through, which is the ultimate light situation. If you ever wanted to work with a light source, a cloudy day with the sun almost peeking through creating a hot spot is the most beautiful light you'll find, because it's soft and it gives modeling to the face because there's that contrast roll off. Okay, so let's go ahead and put our cover back on. So this thing unzips, and if you turn it inside out, you'll get a black reflector and you'll get the sun silver. I call it sun silver, but it's called sunlight. Now these take a little bit more time to work with than the other reflectors because you have to zip them and unzip them. But once you do it a few times, you'll see that it's pretty easy. So you'll notice that there's a hole in the reflector. Okay, you can stick your finger in it. It's where the zippers meet. That's the bottom of the reflector. So the handles will go away from that. So I just put the handles on the ground like this. Put both the handles on the ground like that. Okay, and then I just take the reflector and I wrap around it, or the cover I wrap around the reflector. And then I know I'm going to have it on there right the first time. Okay. And I'll just start to zip it up. And you'll fight with this for a while when you first start getting it, but if you just do what I said, it'll make it a lot easier. So here's the sun silver, and you can see that it's a little different than this one. This one's more gold, and this one's more copper. They're both called sunlight, but the 6-in-1, I mean, this is the sweetest reflector I've ever used. Okay, I'm dropping some stuff so I'm having to pick it up. So look at the color that this puts on my face. It's not that Dorito orange color. It's just a really nice light. Okay, it's just the perfect reflector. Not too much gold, not too much silver. It's just right, and it's just zebra stripes between a gold color and a silver color, and it's called sunlight. So say if I wanted to add more contrast on something, black doesn't take and reflect light back in it. It kills light, okay? So if you want to block light from something, obviously I could just put the black and block it up, and I can be in just a complete shadow. That's kind of ridiculous. However, watch what happens to the shadow side of my face when I introduce black. So say if I'm using a really large light source, like a big octabank, like an 8-foot octa would be such a soft light, you'd lose the specularity in the face altogether, and the eyes would kind of glaze over where the catch lights are because it's so big, it just kind of wraps over your whole eye. And then you lose the shadow detail because it's so soft, it's just like a muddy gray face. Well, what this black will do is it'll put the shadow back in the face. Okay? You see, the closer you get, the more shadow you get. You take it away, and the shadow disappears. So if you want to add more contrast, so you're working with a large light source or big scrim panels, you need a black reflector to bring back that contrast. And the contrast, if you don't know what I'm talking about, is the difference between the bright area and the dark area and how it transitions. So say if I use the diffusion panel, you notice how my skin rewind it and look back at the video, you'll see that the transition between the bright area and the light area was really soft. And if you look here, there's a hard transfer. As I'm working with hard light, you're getting hard shadows. So if you are working with too soft a light source and you get that gray transfer, use the black to reintroduce contrast to your subject. Now, if you don't want to hire an assistant, this is the last piece of gear that I'm going to talk about today, is there's a product made by Westcott. It's called Illuminator Arm, and I'll show it to you. They're not cheap, but they're built like a tank. This is called a Heim joint, okay? It's made out of solid metal. It's got that same type of handle as those full metal brackets that I talked about for tilter brackets. But when you unlock this guy, it's got these two ball joints that let you turn this in any configuration you want and lock it down with the handle. And you can reposition the handle just like the other ones. You just pull it back and turn it, okay? And it will lock down so you can get a good lock on it. And what it does, it's got these little arms that will grab your reflector here. And the cool thing about this is you don't have to pay an assistant to hold your reflector, and you can also rotate your reflector, kind of turn it like a potato chip to give fall off. Say for example, in a lot of your portraiture you want to have light on the face, so I want to fill in the shadow over here, but I don't want to fill in and put light on my ear. I want my ear to be in shadow. So what you have to do, I'll show you that real quick with the reflector. It's like I'm working with the silver reflector and I kick this in. You see how I'm putting light on my ear? Well, if you twist your reflector up, you can control where the light goes on the face and not the ear. Because right now my ear is pretty bright and your eye's going right towards it. So now I can control the fill. I'm going to keep my ear turned towards the camera. And when I turn the reflector, I can control where that light's going to go. I can't get my arms far enough away to get the light where I want it to go. But when you turn your reflector like a potato chip, just turn it like this. Okay? Now you've got fall off. The light isn't just coming back and bouncing at an angle. It can wrap around the face, and I can eliminate, light going on the ear and light going on the forehead. Well, if I teach somebody to use a reflector like that, an assistant, or and I have them hold it just right, and they keep moving or whatever, and they don't lock it down, then I have to waste time. Well, with this illuminator arm, it saves the day. So let's show you how this works. So you loosen it up, you tighten it down on your light stand, okay, and I just lock it down like that to get started. And this thing can also act as a backdrop holder. This thing is really big. I'll show you how big real quick. So it's like 7 feet. So if you want to use it for a backdrop stand, you can see that you could hang something on there like a backdrop. Just drape it over, and now you got a portable backdrop stand all in one arm. Okay. So obviously we're not going to have this thing stuck out that far. So let me bring it back in. I've also used this as a boom stand for a strobe light. Use a speed clamp, a super clamp, and this illuminator arm works great. All right. So you get your reflector. Okay, we're using this particular silver gold, and I kind of like to turn it to the side like this, so I'm not working overhead. And you just reach in here and you grab the back of the reflector, and it just goes in. Okay, and then you loosen this front arm, and you just clamp it as well, like that, and you tighten it down. So now you have the ability to move your reflector in any configuration you want. So if I wanted to be kind of like for pancake lighting or butterfly lighting, I can just come underneath of the subject and lock it down with the handle, and now it's not moving anywhere. I've got both hands. Okay, so this is a great holder. So I'm going to show you how you can twist it and get that cool fall off of light, so you don't have to deal with an assistant or something like that may or may not get it right. So you just loosen the center portion, lock it down, and you rotate it around until it's twisted the way you want, and then you lock it off. Okay? So now you've got their twisted like a potato chip reflector set up for doing show you here. So now I've got that cool fall off of light, and it's just locked into place. So it lets you get creative with your lighting by being able to get that fall off. So now let's look at this. Let's look at this light now on my face. So I can do fill but not get it on my ear. Okay, so this is no reflector. Here's no reflector. And here's the fill reflector, where I'm doing the fall off trip on my face, but it's not on my ear. Do you see that? So I'm not drawing attention to my ear. This is being creative with your modifiers, and this is knowing your craft, is working with things. You can't get this kind of light from anything else other than twisting and manipulating a reflector. Okay, so this is a roll off, fall off reflector light. And the illuminator arm is the only arm that I've ever used that can lock it and hold it down. All the rest, they just like let it slip back and fold into place. Again, it's not cheap, but it's invaluable. So I want to thank you all for taking time to visit my blog today. Until next time, we'll see you soon.